Mindset for abundance. That's what we're talking about tonight. So, what does that mean? What is a mindset, and why is that so important? So, I told you in my last email yesterday that we'd be talking about how some of the wealthiest people on the planet think and operate, how we can uncover hidden beliefs that may hinder your prosperity and financial success, because we're all about mindset here, all about looking at the mental operating system, or the software as we love to call it, and how we think. How does that affect our lives, the results of our life? Um, we'll give you some tools, and there'll likely be more than just three tools you're going to get tonight for how do we go about this process of reprogramming the mind. So I'll give you some fun things that you can do, take away as homework, and then again, likely more than 5 things that you can do today that will completely change everything, how you think about your abundance, how you go about creating that for yourself. So this is not about, as I said in the emails, this is not about strategies or technical things like budgeting, tax strategies, investment advice. There's a ton of experts out there that are way smarter than me on that sort of stuff. So refer to the experts out there. Refer to the people that you may have in your network, be it a CPA, a tax advisor, a financial advisor. They can help you out with some of those, more technical things. I'm the mindset expert. This is about your mindset. It's about your operating system. So again, why is that so important? Why must you focus there? Again, I mentioned this in the email, but I want to touch on it again. A lot of people really concentrate or spend a lot of time on the more technical side of things, be it career development. How can I excel in my job? How can I, move my business forward with marketing and sales strategies? How can I budget properly, save money on my taxes? All those things are awesome, right? We want to continue doing those things. But just like the perfect diet metaphor that I love to use, there's all sorts of diets out there. They all work, right? Some are obviously better than others, but even your cayenne pepper lemon juice, crazy model Hollywood diet, it works. You'll lose weight if that's your goal, if you follow it. But that's really what it comes down to, is how well do you follow it? You listen to the experts, you will gain wealth, if you follow their advice. If you follow the program, you'll lose the weight on your diet if you follow the program. The question is, will you, how, how well do you, where does it break down? Where do you get challenged? Where do these unconscious, sabotage type patterns come in? And then what do we do? How can we address that? Because here's the science. Here's what's going on all the time. Our brain is constantly processing bits of information, right? There's so much information now out there. We're processing millions of bits of information every second. And we're always asking, our brain's always asking the question, what does this mean? What do I do with this information? And then we assign an emotion. How do I feel? Is this good? Is this bad? Neutral, what? And then based on that feeling, we take an action or we don't. And that's your reality. That's your results in a nutshell. If we were to really simplify all of this, this is really what it comes down to. So instead of just giving you more, actions or things to do with your money, we're going to focus on this process, the thinking and feeling process, this mental operating system, to influence actions differently, which in turn creates a new reality. And here's the crazy thing, that over 90% of this is driven by your unconscious, subconscious mind, right? We're not even aware of most of the information that our minds are processing. And a lot of how we think and how we feel is, habitual thought patterns. They come in the form of equations. If this happens, then I think this way, feel this way, act this way. It's our dreams, our fears, what we believe is possible or not for us. It's our belief system. And again, as we like to call it, your operating system, your mental software. So that's why this is so very important to really spend some good time here, focus here, to initiate, to drive new actions. So, some common beliefs about wealth. Now, where this software starts to get programmed in, right? Our beliefs about money, wealth, abundance begins with our families of origin. Most of us, it's our parents, but it's the people we spent the most time with in those first 5 years of our lives where we're being programmed in, right? This is what the latest in neurosciences we'll call your neural patterns. Traditional psychology calls it your personality, right? Your personality traits. Um, but they agree it's pretty much wired in about that 5 year old mark, and then it's honed, you know, changed maybe slightly by life experience. And some things that hold us back that we believe to be true, we say, oh yeah, I got that from dad, or oh, that's mom's, that was mom's strategy, that's mom's voice. Some of it you learned at home was false, and you've discarded it, and you never turned back. Other things you learned and you started out against, maybe the rebellious teenager, your mom and dad giving you advice, trying to help out, and maybe rebelling, but you came around to believe later on. It's like, oh yeah, man, I should have maybe listened to them earlier on. And then, there's other things, some of which you absolutely hated, that still exists today, and you never changed. And it's alive and well, and you feel it daily, maybe, and just maybe not sure the way around it, not sure to how to overcome this particular challenge in your software. So I know most of you here, you've probably heard this kind of spiel in one in one sense or another from me before. Um, so it may not be a big moment, but it should still be a big moment when you stop and consider you're driven by unconscious and conscious voices, thought patterns. Some of it's for positive gain. And the example we like to use here is the never poor. In 1 second, let me make sure I'm getting everyone in here. Uh, okay, looks like we got everyone. LC, welcome. Maria, Darian, glad to have you here. So some of it's for positive gain. The never poor software is, the person that grew up on maybe the wrong side of the train tracks, grew up, not a lot of money, parents maybe struggled, and they saw that and they said, I'm never, shaking their fist, never going to be poor. There's a lot of emotion to that, and they're really driven by that. The question is, can that person with that kind of focus and that drive to never before, never be poor, can they make a lot of money, do you think? I want to hear from you. You can type it in the chat, unmute yourself. What do you think? Never going to be poor. Will that person create a lot of money for them? Will they create wealth? I've got a yes, they can make a lot of money, just never inner peace. What else do we got? Saw someone typing. And let me allow some mics for a couple other folks here. Feel free to unmute yourself and just chime in as well. And we got, they can for sure. It's a fear-driven factor. They run away from the fear of being poor. Yes. Yeah, both correct answers. They will make money. The question is, did they ever get to feel rich? Did they ever get to feel wealthy? Or if it's based on not being poor, you know, how would that feel? Would any amount of money really allow them to feel that what we're really focused on, abundance, right? And wealth and richness, right? So it isn't a way pattern, it is a fear-driven pattern. And yeah, they may not ever find that inner peace that you mentioned, Gene. So, some of this can appear positive, but also holds you back at the same time. We've got other things like, these could be messages from parents. Don't get your hopes up, right? Don't don't be disappointed, don't lose your hard-earned money. And really think about these and feel these, don't get your hopes up. While that's a well-meaning, right, well-intentioned thing to say, do you ever really get excited about something, be it a goal, a financial goal, something that really excites you? Or is it just, kind of maintain steady, level-headed, don't get too high, right? Yeah, it becomes a limitation for you to really feel that excitement for those times when your hopes are up, and to avoid disappointment. Well, again, in this away pattern conversation, away patterns being you're moving away from pain, moving away from unwanted situations. On your very best day, you just get less disappointment, right? But do you ever really get to win? Is it the most optimal, piece of software program focused on what you want, towards what you want, towards pleasure? That's, you've all heard the don't spill the milk tool here, I think. When you tell a child that's going to pour their first glass of milk, hey, be careful, don't spill that milk. All you're thinking about is not spilling. In order to do that, all you're visualizing is this milk's being spilled. And you're thinking of crazy out of this world. See, our brains are really good at thinking of worst case scenarios, and we'll time travel, and we'll think of things that maybe most likely usually never happen, right? Like, hey, a meteor can rip through the ceiling right now and rip the pitcher out of my hand. Now I have to worry about meteors. And we spend our time worrying versus, focused on the outcome, focused on what we want, putting our energy towards the outcome. So these kind of things, they're well intentioned, but they become, limitations. So this is really about, and I'm going to give you a tool here to do this. But for, tonight on this call, when you go and sit down with an exercise I'm going to give you, really dig into your memories. What did mom and dad say? And really do this in a peak state. Don't just, sit at the table, but put some great music on, maybe stand up, get excited about this, have fun with it, really think about what are the truths, really feel the programs, hear the voices. What do you feel about money and abundance? Write down all of the thoughts and feelings and see what comes up and really look at it and say, is this serving me? So a little bit of deeper dive on this money software and these beliefs about money. When you really look at this and you look at your true views, it's going to show you your ask and your unask. And what I mean by that is we constantly have requests into the system. System could be God, the universe, whatever you want to believe in. We're asking for something. And if you're not asking for something, well, you're asking for, randomness, or you're not, you don't have a request in, right? So it can be a form of an unask, which is the reverse. An unask is you're asking for the things that you don't want. You're asking for lack and scarcity and less money, right? So really look at these. These are some fun ones, that we've even seen from other people's model of the world, other clients. Is money the root of all evil, right? We've heard that phrase before. How many here believe that? The root of all evil. If you feel that, if you think that, right? The connection, the equation that's running is, money is bad. Is that an ask for wealth and abundance, or is it an unask? Do you hate rich people or despise them or are jealous of them? Maybe hate's a strong word, but you know, pick your word. Do you have half empty emotions towards people with a lot of money? Again, what's the equation? What's the request? What's the system hearing? You don't like people with money. You don't, respect that. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be a person with money. Okay. Well, guess what you're going to get? Now, do you worry when money is short? This is a tricky one. This is something I'm sure all of us have experienced at some time or another. When you're worrying about not having enough, where's your thoughts? Where's your emotion? And the universe, the systems really responding to your vibration, your emotional vibration that you're putting out there. So if you're not trusting, if you're feeling anxious, if you're visualizing what could go wrong, right? Where attention goes, energy flows, kind of thing. So, do you worry, or do you search for solutions? Do you trust? Do find a way? These are these shifts that you can start to make when you really stop to sit and think about what's going on, what's my thought process here, what's my emotional state, what is that doing? Am I asking or unasking for money? This is a really fun one. So we just had tax day, right? Monday. Do you hate paying taxes? Who here hates paying taxes? Just raise your hand here, type in the chat box. We've got a same. I totally hate paying taxes, like a lot. Okay, Josh, is that an ask or an unask for money? I've got a couple other hands raised. If you hate paying taxes, is that an ask or unask for more money? And as I said, feel free to unmute yourself. If you can't, let me know. Love to hear from you guys. I'm not sure. It's probably a scarcity mindset, but for now, I don't like it. We've got one unask. So think about this. If you get a big tax bill at the end of the year, what does that also mean? If you're paying more taxes than you usually do, most likely what happened the past year compared to previous years? You made more money, right? Think about this. If you hate paying taxes, you don't want to pay taxes. That's kind of like saying, I don't want to make more money. And could you have gratitude instead for paying tax? Like, oh my God, look at this huge tax bill. I can't believe, look at all this money I made last year. This is awesome. I'm doing so well. That's not just BS, is it? That's facts. I mean, if that's the case, right? But think about that. The fact that you pay taxes means you're making money. So it becomes an unask. So, in regards to your beliefs about money, you can't put it on a pedestal and worship it, but you can't put it below you and demonize it either, right? So think about where you fit on this continuum of, negative to positive, beliefs, thoughts, feelings around money, some of these questions here. And, as Zig Ziglar says, great quote, money isn't the most important thing in life, but it's reasonably close to oxygen on the gotta have it scale, right? I mean, that's just a reality that we live in. We need money to do things, to have things. So, where does it fit on this sliding scale? And so to kind of flip things to the other side here, do you believe money is flow? Do you believe that it's energy and not really a thing? Which, you really stop to think about that. Like more and more than ever, money, I saw something, recently that it was like over 75% of actual money in circulation right now is just digits on a computer. Something crazy like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's crazy. It's numbers on a computer. Um, it's not, just dead presidents on a piece of paper. Uh, but and the treasury, what they can just, they printed how much money in the last couple of years? What was it? 1.5 trillion. If anyone knows the numbers, feel free to throw them out there, but they print it whenever they want, seemingly. And I get that there's other conditions that cause that. But it seems to just be this ethereal kind of thing. And it's more energetic than everything. And maybe the better metaphor, the one that I really like is, you know, what if it's just a speedometer of how well you're flowing in the system, how and flow being synonymous with, abundance and letting the money flow through you. If it's energy, do you let it flow through? And I have a quote at the end here, how many of us look at wealth and money as something to hold on to that we can't lose, right? What happens when you grab a handful of sand? The harder you squeeze it, the faster it falls out. But do you let the money flow freely? Do you let the abundance flow freely? If you think of yourself as a channel, right? Or a conduit, I should say. And money is an energy. Do you let it flow freely through you? It's coming in, it's going out, and you're generous, you're abundant, but you're also paying for things to enjoy yourself and have the things that you enjoy. Um, Gene will appreciate this. I've often referred to it as these old thought patterns being like maybe log jams in the river of abundance. What's blocking the flow? Is it something like I hate paying taxes or anxiety or, you know, bad thoughts and feelings towards rich people? Um, really, really spend some time with this. Think about it. And if you want to go faster, the question becomes, how do you put your foot on the gas? If it's just a speedometer, how do you put foot on the gas? And are you asking for more you, not a fix to the flow? Because it's not flow that's the problem, right? It's not the flow's fault when money's short. It's how well you are flowing, not any external thing, not the economy, not anything outside of you. And again, and this might be controversial. If there's someone who disagrees with me here, please let's open this up. Things are happening, right? I mean, we've got things going on in our economy. We just had a few years ago, pandemic, right? We've got things happening in our life, in our world. Are those reasons for less abundance? Or, you can look at those things and you could look at the fact that there was record number of, new millionaires and billionaires made during the pandemic. So how does that, equate? Do they look at these things and say, oh, I can't, it won't? Or is it opportunity? Are they flowing? Are they going with the flow? Right? So if you buy this, and you don't have the flow you wish, are you asking yourself what you're really asking for? You know, fix to the flow, fix to you. How can I be more in flow? And what's blocking that? To create healthy flow, are you focused on more money, more digits in the bank account, or more flow? You know, and is it both? And what kind of balance? What emotional intensity? So some really good questions to be asking, and it's more about knowing who you are than, trying to do and asking for more. So let me know if that's making sense. Let me know if there's any challenges with that, questions on it.
Could you also be immobilized by a possible fear of losing money?
For sure. Yeah. Let me pull up another sheet here. Fear of losing. Yeah, absolutely. And so I was thinking about loading this other slide here today, but yeah, since it came up, why that tends to happen is because, when we're younger, you don't have as much to lose, right? You haven't really, gained the assets to fear losing as much. And as we get older, as we have mortgages and we have children and we have more things and more, bank accounts growing, we move into more asset protection kind of mode. And we have some sort of predictability, we have some sort of certainty. And, the more we gain now, the more we can lose. And so that fear tends to rise, but the irony of that is for most, it was those taking those chances that got us to this place in the first place, right? It was taking risks. It was not being as cautious, right? And I'm not by any means saying be reckless, but you're smart enough to know, what's the right risk. What risk am I willing to tolerate versus not? I tell clients, I have a few that I can think of right now that I've used this recently with, but like I tend to I prefer to have to reel them back in versus be more aggressive or take more risks, because yeah, we go into these modes of, it's more fear based, it's more risk prevention, right? And while this is well meaning, a fear of losing, it can protect you. And this is old software by its nature is designed for safety and comfort. That's its MO. And when I say old software, or old you, OY is my acronym, that's that 5-year-old version of you. That's, what we may have learned from mom and dad. It's the Windows year you were 5 years old that I always refer to. Built for safety and comfort. So it's doing its job, right? But new is it's unpredictable. It is it's built for speed.
Mhm.
It's built for getting out of your comfort zone, and that requires some form of risk. And how you can start to manage that is, if fear of losing is something that's top of mind, or you feel that is driving a lot of the reality, it can be helpful to look at, well, one, what's the worst case scenario, I guess, or, what am I really losing here? And if you want to reframe, because really this is about pain avoidance or avoiding some kind of failure, right? Losing, failure. If you can start to reframe that and say, okay, I'm just going to use investing as an example. I'm going to make this investment. I could lose the money, or I could make triple that, what I'm going to lose. If I really lose the money, have I really lost that much? And you can start to, again, ask these questions of what have I really lost? But what have I not gained by not taking this risk? And then if I do lose, if it does fail, what did I learn? How did I grow? Because by doing that, by taking these actions, these new actions, taking these risks, you're always going to get something. And if you trust this, if you believe, I know if this fails, if I lose here, A, it's not the end of the world. B, I know I can recover. C, I'm going to get so much out of this. I'm going to learn so much, and it's going to empower me for the next action, for the next experience that, I have to take in this journey for myself, that it becomes a win-win. And so, yeah, back to the question, fear of losing is absolutely a limitation. And in order to flip that, you can go through this kind of analysis and reframing, but also it's the how can you connect to the, you know, excitement of winning, make this a towards pattern. What's the outcome? And what am I missing out on? I've heard this phrase several times in the last few days of like I forgot whose quote it is, but you regret the things you didn't do more than you regret the things you did do. If anyone's heard that or know whose quote that is, it's come up a few times, so it must be something to it. Must be timely. I think it's sound advice. Take the action, take the lessons you need out of it. It's either you win or you don't, and you grow. So, is that making sense? Did I answer your question? I'm not sure who asked that, by the way. Anyone? Uh, all right, we'll keep moving. So,
I just looked it up. It's Mark Twain. This is Gene, and that was Chris that spoke earlier.
Gene,
Yeah, and the quote is from Mark Twain. I just looked it up.
awesome. Did you share that quote with me the other day?
No.
Okay. Well, appreciate that, Mark Twain. Thank you for the question, Chris. So now, when we look at the wealthiest people, how they think and operate, when you look at this, what's your conclusion? Is it that, they're wealthy and therefore they have the time and resources to do this, to do these things, or by doing these things, they are wealthier? So we've got, let's look. They pulled some, big names you've heard before: Bill Gates, Warren Buffett. Um, they have a routine, you know, maintain a to-do list, 3 hours, wake up 3 hours before work, audiobooks, networking, 30 minutes of reading. They love to read. We've got, they're healthy. So we've got exercise aerobically 4 days a week. The wealthy, 76%, the poor, 23%. They eat less junk food. We've got raising their children, teaching good daily success habits, volunteer 10 hours a month. Their children volunteer 10 hours a month. Encourage their kids to read. They watch less TV, right? They set goals. Shocker, right? They write them down. They focus on accomplishing that specific goal. Lifelong self-improvement, good daily habits. Believe bad habits have a negative impact. So, I didn't read this one actually. Women as a percent of multimillionaire population. Huh, interesting. So, again, are they able to do these things because they have the money, or Is this an operating system? We've got another article. There it is. Eat less junk food, exercise regularly. They don't procrastinate, continue learning, nurture relationships. Is it a chicken or egg kind of equation? They have the money, thus they do these things, or is it their operating system that drives all application software? By applications, I mean, we have these like how we have QuickBooks for money, Facebook for social on our computers. We have application softwares for our mind, money, health, love, everything. It's all driven by an operating system because you could load the latest version of, or try to load the latest version of QuickBooks on Windows 98. And I don't think you'd be allowed to, but if you were, if you could do it, it would be severely limited, right? In its capacity because software has its limitations. So I would say, you know, this is a product, these habits, these things that they do are a product of their operating system. They're doing these things, therefore it produces wealth and abundance for them. Now, one of my last tools here, and this is one of my favorites, it's called the paperclip tool, but this is really about, so I'll give you the story first. There's a story, what's the word I'm looking for? They did this on a news show a number of years back. It was a guy in Saskatchewan, Canada, and he just one day, I think he was on like Reddit or something, and he wanted to play a game, and he's like, I want to play the old childhood game, Bigger and Better, where you trade something with someone else for something bigger and better. And he's like, I want to have at the end of this a $300,000 house. And so he's sitting there at his desk, and right in front of him, sitting in front of his computer, is one red paperclip. He's like, all right, I'm going to start with one red paperclip. And you can go look this up. It's on, Wikipedia. I think there's still a website out there that documents all the trades that he did. And as we like to joke, he failed. He didn't get his $300,000 house. It was a $330,000 house in Saskatchewan, Canada. And I forgot to mention, he said, I want to do this in 50 trades. Yeah, he only did it in like, I think it was 32 trades or something like that. So incredible story, and just an amazing example of resourcefulness. And the question that you see here, what would you choose now? Would you choose the $1 million lottery ticket, or would you choose the paperclip? And by paperclip, I mean resourcefulness, because we've all heard the stories, right, of lottery winners that end up going bankrupt. Well, guess what? They don't have the operating system. Chris, I see your hand raised. Let me get you unmuted here. I see a few hands raised. Chris, are you there?
Yeah. Okay, I think I got the microphone now. It's actually I wasn't able to mute or use the chat, so.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries, but yeah, I think I would take the resourcefulness, because when you really think, when you really think about it, when you use your resourcefulness, you're using your state, you're using your emotion, you're using pretty much everything you have, and when you're in that kind of a state, then you can pretty much get whatever it is that you need to make things happen, including the $300,000 or whatever it is. Whereas a lottery ticket, you got to deal with it getting taxed like oh crazy, and you probably get down to like maybe $10 when it's all said and done.
Correct. Yeah. Very well said. I agree with you. And this goes to the question of, like, a lot of people believe success is about resources, and it's how much money you have, the people you know, and the opportunities available to you. And yeah, no, it's not external things. It's resourcefulness, because for all those stories, or all those examples of people who maybe came into riches, we have another story of rags to riches, right? We saw on the last slide Oprah Winfrey, right? Or athletes, how many athletes, how many musicians, right? Like, these classic examples we have, they were resourceful. And I would even go a step further than resourcefulness. They had a passion. And yeah, I didn't load something for this today, but I'm glad it came up. I think when you talk about resourcefulness, passion is a huge ingredient of that, right? Because when you want something enough, when you're so passionate about something, be it a business idea, something that you love to do, you know, um, if this is a tool of ours, it's called the Rockstar Album Sales Tool, and I asked the question, you know, is the way that people become a rock star is, they're jamming away in their garage, they're practice, maybe they get a break and they get invited to play at Herman's Hideaway here off of Broadway in Denver. They get to a small little gig and they get lucky that there's a producer in the audience that night, and invites them to, he loves the music, invites them to record an LP. It gets on the radio, or goes viral, right? And they make it, it goes platinum. The agent calls you up and says, "Hey, congratulations, your album just went platinum. You're a rock star. You're officially a rock star." Is that how it works?
Oh no.
What do you think? And you're still unmuted, Chris. You can answer if you'd like, or type in the chat box, anyone.
All right.
Brittany says not quite.
Yep.
Oh, Casey said take the million and pay for a resourcefulness class. Yeah, I love it. Got someone typing. Were you gonna say something, Chris?
Yeah, I was getting ready to, but I kind of, so I'm going to go ahead and mute for a second because I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay. Josh says no, you have to be a rock star the whole time. Yes. What makes a rock star though?
Actually, you got to get past them. You got to get past some of the people that are going to be saying things like, "Oh, this is stupid. Your voice is terrible. You're no rock stars." You have to get past the internal demons or the external demons.
Yeah, great point. And how do you do that? We've got an
Pretty much
attitude.
Yeah.
What's that, Chris?
Said knock the terrible beliefs on his tail by questioning the hell out of it.
That's one way. We've got attitude. That's close. That's what Tom Petty always said. Yeah. I've got one more typing. We'll get one more guess in here. Casey, think about this. How do you become a rock star? How do you get all those, haters and doubters? How do you get past all that? And if it's not the album sales that makes the rock star, and you have to be the rock star all the time, well, how do you be a rock star all the time, right? Casey's typing. So we do have a ding, 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 right answer in the chat. Gene said passion for the work you do and not worried about the outcome. Yeah, there it is. I kind of already gave you the answer. It's passion. You have passion for your song. You have passion for what you do. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many albums you sell, because oftentimes you could be a rock or a country singer in a jazz bar, and you're just speaking to the wrong people, but doesn't matter because you just love playing your song. You know, you have to have passion, because when you do, you find all the resources. Yes, 100%. You have the passion. The why is another way of saying it. Why am I doing this? You know, why is this important to me? Because the hows reveal themselves. You get resourceful, and you get the resources. So yeah, to this day, I wait for the client. And Chris, you said you have to believe in yourself in such a way that the demons in your head will not be enough to stop you. Yes, 100%. Um, and yeah, I wait for the client that's like, hey, Brian, I did the paperclip tool. It actually took me 2 years. I only got this is a little outdated, but maybe a $200,000 condo in Aurora, right? How thrilled, how ecstatic would you be if you could take one red paperclip and turn it into a $200 condo, investment? Be pretty epic. We do have some examples though. We had one client that did it as like a 15-year-old, her daughter's birthday. They gave them a list of they gave them all like an item to start with, and they went around the neighborhood, and one of them started with like a pen and came back with like a lawnmower or something like that. So um, we have seen some examples, but again, this is for you to think about in this wealth creation. And how do I be abundant? you know it's resourcefulness, it's passion. So really make today, moving forward this month, make this about a changing your software, about abundance and wealth and money, and what does this all mean to me? And you know wealth, in my observation, it is energy, it is flow, how much you're in the flow. And flow to me is being resourceful, is being in the flow of, I call it the universe, but taking the opportunities, seeing the opportunities, and feeling excited, feeling passionate, excited about what you're doing. And to Chris's other point, have to make your why compelling. Yes, when you're there, when you're in it, and things are flowing, and you could even call it the flow state, right? That everything's clicking and time is non-existent. That's where it flows. And when you make it about ego or judgment, what will they think of me? And will they like me? And any other external outside in thing. Outside in being, you're driven by what people think, what people want, um, what society wants and expects, what you've been told how to, who you are, versus no, inside out, this is what matters to me. This is what I want. This is what abundance looks like for me. Make this a time about sitting down, redesigning this arena, this piece of your software here, so that you can live it, experience it, pass it on to your loved ones, your children, and really uncover, what's holding you back, what's holding you back from really experiencing true abundance. Now, I'm going to give this as a homework assignment, an exercise. I will attach it in an email to you after this, but it's the financial model of the world. Most of you have probably seen the standard model of the world, which all clients do coming into the system. This is focused specifically on wealth, abundance, money. The questions are designed specifically focused on that. So these will look familiar. Your outcomes, what do you want? What do you want for you, your money, your wealth? What are your empowering, disempowering beliefs? It's really going to guide you through this great, uncovering process, really getting clear on all your thoughts, feelings around money. And at the end here, you can see this is a list of 15 things that reasons people aren't wealthy. You could just, I call this the Costanza tool, for the Seinfeld fans out there. The series of episodes when Costanza does everything opposite of what he normally does and everything starts working out for him. You could take all these, just do the opposite, and you'll have some great results with it. And then, you get into more excitement. I have a dream, building the great emotion around your vision, for your wealth, creating an abundant attitude. This is another list here, 10 things that you can start doing right away. Surrounding yourself with things that make you feel good. Just changing your environment. Huge. How often, I mean, how many of us, we wake up, we go right into the same old patterns, right? We get out of bed the same way, we go in the shower, wash the same armpit the same way, wash our hair, put on our shoes the same foot, go the same way to work or not, or go to for me, my home office here, go sit down, same chair, same, keyboard. We all have our routines, our environment. How often do we change it? You'd be surprised by just changing things like getting rid of old clothes, fixing stuff around the house, cleaning up, it has an effect on you, and it's mostly subconscious. Put nice things, find a reasonable way to splurge on yourself, enjoy yourself. Being grateful, can't say enough about this. I know, we hear so much about gratitude, but you really do this, if you really do this daily, and there's actually a Tony Robbins tool called stacking, where you start with maybe something small, and you gradually, you do this you could just do it for 5 minutes, one thing after another, and they tend to escalate, and you're listing things, you're really feeling things that you're grateful for. It's a very powerful feeling, and it changes your emotional state. And we talk about abundance, like just simply acknowledging the abundance that you already have in your life. What quicker, easier way to do that than just see what's already there? We tend to take things for granted. We don't acknowledge the things that we do have. We mostly emotionalize the things we don't have. So great tool there. And some more great things. I'll let you work through this. It's a great worksheet and exercise. And then, if you're interested, I've decided to do something new and fun, something I haven't really done. I've done it in certain settings before, but this will be new. I'm really excited about it. I want to do a challenge, for anyone that's interested. It's a 21-day challenge for upgrading your abundance software. And why 21 days? Well, the science shows that's kind of the average of how long it takes to change a habit. This comes out of the astronaut goggles tool. When they first did studies on astronauts, they gave them goggles that flipped their world upside down. And after about an average of 21 days, the brain figured out a way to flip things right side up again. So, literally they were trying to eat cereal like upside down, but all of a sudden, boom, they'd wake up one day and then things would be right side up again. So that's really the science behind habits and where it kind of all started. But this will start on the 1st and end on the 22nd. And so we'll meet every Wednesday, and it'll be a total of 4 sessions. And I'm going to give you work in between. And really, the outcomes, you get to set this. So it can be a specific financial goal. And it doesn't have to be something within the 21 days. It can, but if you want to make this like a kickstart, something to, help you achieve a financial goal you had for the year, or maybe in the next 2 years, making more money, paying off debt, building wealth, maybe you have a financial freedom goal. You get to set the outcome for this, and maybe you're already doing well in this arena or above average, and you're just craving even more. This will be a fun, quick, 21 days. Let's stay rooted in this, content and tools. Let's help each other. Let's learn and grow from each other. And really, this is about upgrading all aspects of your abundance in your life, money, love, time, health, everything. So it would start with the model of the world. Each week I'll cover something new. Um, and then most of the time will be about sharing our experiences, looking at examples, case studies, looking at things from the model of the world. Um, you know, it's kind of like a love seat experience. If anyone here, I know some of you've experienced our old mastermind group where we had someone sit we called it the love seat. It used to be the hot seat, but it's a love seat because we're given love and we're learning from someone else's experiences, which is very powerful, right? We're often dealing with the same kind of software programs and same kind of challenges. So you can see someone go through a similar challenge or share something that you're wrestling with too. You get a whole lot of value out of that. So it's I'm just doing a 197 one time for the four sessions, the 3 weeks, or it's included in the Live Life by Design course, which is one time 497, which includes the whole member site, which we have more courses, a whole ton more of content back there. The Live Life by Design course is that's going to guide you through the whole process of upgrading your software, not just this financial application software we're talking about, but everything. It is the complete transformational experience. And then you'll also get access to any future challenges for the next year. So, and I do plan on doing some for like health. I'm going to do one centered around mental fitness in general. So you'll get invites to those webinars as well. I'll be kicking off each one of those with similar monthly webinar like this. And then also all of this is included in any of the personal coaching programs. So, and we can discuss that if you're interested. I tend to customize those based on what people want and how often they want to meet. So just contact me if you're interested in any of that. You'll get an email summary you'll get the recording for this. You'll get all my notes, but if you're interested, let me know by the 1st. Would love to have you as part of the challenge. And so what time would each session? I'm thinking 6, like the same time we started tonight, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So yeah, let me know if you're interested. Would love to have you. So any questions or comments? I know I went pretty quick through a lot of that, but we had some good comments, some good questions sprinkled in there. But anything else, any outstanding questions that we have?
I just want to say this was good. Yeah, a couple of things came back. We talked about the log jam. More importantly, about for me, it's what I noticed is that, like what you said earlier, what you focus on expands. So, Tony Robbins' analogy of the car people, race car drivers running around the track, and when they spin out of control, they are thought to look at the grass, not the wall. And
Mhm.
because if you look at the wall, that's where you're going to go. You're going to crash into the wall. So they're
Right.
actually thought to, most people, everybody would be like, oh, I don't want to crash. I don't want to crash. So you're looking at the wall, but they actually thought to go against that and just look at the grass, which is in the middle of the circle there. So and I feel that's kind of been mirroring in my life in the sense that when it's going well, it's going well. But then the issue like you and I have been going through as far as like taxes and and I feel like, oh man, I'm losing money, I'm losing money. So I've been focusing on the wall as opposed to focusing on where I need to go.
Yeah.
And then the reason why I struggle I paused earlier when you said, oh, did you say the quote? Because the quote last week for me or this week has been like, you can't do big things focusing on small things, right? So it's just a reminder I need to stay focused on the green patch of grass as opposed to the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. You're absolutely right, Gene. Yeah, it's as simple. It really is as simple as changing the focus. What are you emotionalizing? Are you emotionalizing losing? Are you focused on not losing? Are you focused on winning? Are you emotionalizing, like you said, the brighter days ahead, the abundance you get to experience, and the gratitude of your big tax bill. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I appreciate that, Gene. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we got a couple thank yous. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, KC. Appreciate you joining in. Appreciate all of you for being here. Keep an eye out for the model of the world. I'll get that sent out when the recording's ready. That's your one thing to do. So highly recommend it. You'd be surprised what reveals itself to you. So thanks all for being here. Have an awesome rest of your evening and stay tuned for more. Take care, everyone.